Today I'm going to be covering the book of Job and why the book of Job is a really special book. It really is, actually, because since I have received my revelation, it kind of helped me view things differently. Everything is really kind of a whole new story to me. But this is going to be the book of Job like you haven't heard before. And this is coming from, like I've said before, I like to condense things. This is an advanced Bible study, by the way. And I'm just going to, I read the book of Job the other night, and I highlighted what I felt was good points and statements and whatnot to kind of talk over, and then all the rest in betweens are fillers of conversations, basically. Hopefully I can bring glory to God in a different way by giving a new viewpoint, a dyslexic's viewpoint, because, I view the world differently than most people. Okay, so we're going to start off with, we all know Job. Let's think about a couple things, right? What does the Bible say about rich men? It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to go to heaven, right? That's how hard it is for a rich man to get into heaven. It's because of his ego wanting to hold on to those things. It's not about money, it's not about status or any of that. The rich man don't want to let go of that to follow God. Keep that in mind, because Job here is actually a very wealthy man. And he is probably the wealthiest man in his whole region, if I'm not mistaken. And he has tons of cattle and livestock. He has, a nice family. Well, he has a family. I don't know if they're so nice, but he has a family. And, he's doing well for himself. So in all reality, this Job is a rich man compared to the average Joe of the time. And kind of how it all starts out is like, in the land of Oz, there lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless and upright. Okay, he's blameless and upright. And he feared God and shunned evil. So those are important statements right there, and I highlighted it. What would be blameless? He's blameless because he has repented of his ways. He is blameless because he has emptied himself of his own ego. But aside from that, he fears God. But as you read on, it's not and he shuns evil, but it's not just that. He also praises God, worships God, gives burnt offerings over his children unless in case they have committed a sin. This man loves God, is what it's illustrating. And he had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he owned 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camel and 500 yoke of oxen and 500 donkeys, and had a large number of servants. He was the greatest man among all the people of the East, which means he was a very wealthy man. But Job is one of these rare exceptions, right, of wealthy men that can get to heaven. It's an illustration of showing this man is very wealthy, but he is one of the very rare rich men that can actually make it to heaven because of his character. Even though he's rich, he's not egotistical. Of course, Job would sin and have them purified. Early in the morning he would sacrifice a burnt offering for each of them, thinking, perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. This was Job's regular custom, right? He regularly did this in the morning in case his children have sinned. It means he's faithful. It means he's fears God. Even though he's rich. So it's showing how humble Job is. Job is a humble man. And so here's an interesting thing that talks about Satan. So Job's first test: one day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? Satan answered the Lord, from roaming through the earth, going back and forth on it. So that means the devil roams on the earth, and he roams back and forth on the earth. He is on the earth. He's not in hell. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? Now, who knows what was pretext to this conversation, or just that, or why he's suggesting Job to Satan. But I know that is because God already knows Job. God knows Job's heart. God knows that God knows that he bet on Job and he'll win the bet. That's why with Satan. So basically, if you want to say it this way, God makes a bet with Satan and says, basically, Satan says to God, well, if you take everything away from him, he'll surely curse you to your face or whatnot. So God's like, okay, well, you can do whatever you want to him, but you can't kill him. You can't harm him, like, or threaten his life or whatnot. So what does Satan do? Satan takes out his children. Satan kills all his livestock or what have you, and then gives Job boils and all kinds of stuff. He just messing Job up, makes him lose everything. Okay. And the Sabians attacked and carried, let's see. Okay, so this is going through and explaining everything that's happening to Job's things because Satan's taking it. And at this point, Job got up, tore his robe, shaved his head, and then he fell to the ground and worshipped and said, naked I came from the mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. My name of the Lord be praised. And all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. So through the whole time, he's losing all his stuff. His children are dying. But in all this, he still did not lose faith in God. He did not curse God, which means Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. And it continues to get worse. I mean, as far as for Job. And Satan answered the Lord, from roaming through the earth and going back and forth. Okay, I already read that part. My fault. I highlighted that twice. So it goes through and it talks about these other 4 other guys, or these 3 other guys, Job's friends, coming in and basically just tormenting Job, you know, just saying all kinds of nasty stuff and being cruel. And Job, the whole time when Job replies, he's kind in return. He isn't trying to hurt them. And Job replied, this is after one of his friends just bashing him and giving him a hard time. Job replies, doubtless you are the people, and the wisdom will die with you. But I have a mind as well, I am not inferior to you. Who does not know all these things? I have become a laughingstock to my friends. Though I called upon God, and he answered, a mere laughingstock, though righteous and blameless, men at ease have contempt for misfortune, as the fate of those whose feet are slipping. So he's basically making a statement, but not out of cruelty. He's just saying what is. And it continues on. He continues to get bashed. And Job continues to praise God through it. So he gets bashed some more, and then Job says, to God belong wisdom and power, counsel and understanding are his. What he tears down cannot be rebuilt. The man he imprisons cannot be released. If he holds back the waters, there is drought. If he lets them loose, they will devastate the land. To him belongs strength and victory. Job's giving God praise. He's saying, hey, God takes away what he wants to take away. He wants it, he takes it. If he wants to give it to me, he gives it to me. He's not basically saying that he's not mad at God. It just happens. He's not taking his anger out on God. And here's another friend that comes in and just bashes Job. Let me get some coffee. Some more. And just giving him a hard time, just like this other friend just did. So Job replies, I have heard many things like these. Miserable comforters are you all. And that's just the short and sweet part. Job continues on to speak his mind about his friends, which he's not too happy with. And here comes another friend that just jumps in after that guy and starts bashing on Job. And Job replies, listen carefully to my words. Let this be the consolation you give me. Bear with me while I speak, and after I have spoken, mock on. So basically, he's calling him out for mocking him. And it continues on. He continues to get verbally abused. Then Job replies to him, even today my complaint is bitter. His hand is heavy in spite of my groaning. If only I knew where to find him. If only I could go to his dwelling. At this point, Job is so miserable. He's not cursing God. He's wanting to be with him. Oh, so he's like, just take me out and bring me home, God. I've had enough. So he gets beat up some more by his friends. This is back at base. It records the whole argument. Basically, Job has a big argument between him and his friends, and they're going back and forth. It's pretty interesting. This guy here is Bildad, one of his friends now, who is bashing on him. And of course, Job continued his discourse. As surely as God lives, who has denied me justice? The Almighty, who has made me taste bitterness of soul. As long as I have life within me, the breath of God in my nostrils, my lips will not speak wickedness, and my tongue will not utter any deceit. And I will never admit you are in the right till I die. He's mad at his friends, man. He is so mad at his friends right now. And here he goes again. He just jumps right back on them and starts bashing them. Okay, so we go through. This is just back and forth with him and his friends. So here we go. Here's another friend bashing him for a while. Elihu? I don't know how you say that. I waited while you spoke. This is this guy speaking. I waited while you spoke. I listened to your reasoning. While you were searching for words, I gave you my full attention, but not one of you has proved Job wrong. None of you has answered his arguments. Do not say, we have found wisdom. Let God refute him, not man. But Job has not marshaled his words against me, and I will not answer him with your argument. So basically, this guy's like a referee or something. This Elihu guy. He's not arguing with. He's not making Job's life miserable. But he's like, I've heard the whole thing, and you guys haven't done anything, haven't proved anything about Job. You're just basically running your mouth. And it goes on and on. But finally, right, the Lord speaks. Finally, the Lord speaks after all of this. Then the Lord answered Job out of the storm. He said, who is this that darkness my counsel with words without knowledge? Let me try to say this again. Who is this that darkness my counsel with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me, if you understand who has marked off its dimensions, surely you know. Who stretched a measuring line across it? On what is its footings set, or who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together, and all the angels shouted for joy, who shut up the sea behind the doors? When it burst forth from the womb, when I made the clouds its garments, and wrapped it in a thick darkness, when I fixed limits for it, and set its doors and bars in place, when I said, this far you may come and no farther, here is where your proud waves halt. And that's a question. Here is where your proud waves halt. That's weird because of the way it's worded, but it's a question. Anyway, God speaks his mind. But basically, that's the book of Job. That's, in short, with the book of Job. And we're not going to cover the entire argument with his friends and everything, but by the end of it, because Job stayed faithful, because Job did not curse God or sin towards God. Instead, he praised God and defended himself, stood his ground. God blessed him and gave him double back everything. He got everything back, and he got his new family back, and everything was all good for Job in the end. And because Job prayed for his friends to God, God decided not to do anything to his mean and nasty friends that should have been punished. God was wanting to punish them, but he said, hey, Job, you pray to me over your friends, I'll leave them be. And Job prayed for him. There you go. Basically, in the story, Job is actually a great story just simply because it illustrates, even though he was an extremely rich man, wealthy man, he was extremely humble. And he feared God. So it wasn't just him being humble and having no ego. It was him being humble, having no ego, and fearing God. And not only that, but he had his own routine. Remember, every morning he'd get up and do burnt offerings over his children in case one of them had sinned. So, interesting stuff. Thanks for listening. God bless.